3 weeks ago, my mother knocked on my door for the first time in 8 years. She was wearing a gray wool coat and sensible shoes, and she was carrying a leather portfolio that I recognized immediately. It was the same portfolio she used for church council meetings, the same one she had carried the night she told me she was removing my name from the family Bible. She did not hug me. She did not say she was sorry. She did not ask about her grandchildren. She opened the portfolio, set a single sheet of paper on my kitchen table, 5 bullet points, blue ink, her handwriting. Each bullet had a dollar sign, total at the bottom. $925,000. She said, "I think it is time we talked about what family means." I looked at the paper. I looked at her. I thought about the drawer in my home office. The bottom one, the navy binder inside it, 8 years, 31 items. Every returned card, every ignored voicemail, every piece of proof that my family had decided I no longer existed. She brought a list of what she wanted. I had a list of what she did. Let me take you back to where this started. Because the $925,000 only means something if you understand what came before it. And what came before, it was 8 years of silence that my mother chose and called righteousness. My name is Clara Bennett. I am 34 years old. I was born and raised in Harlan, Kentucky. If you know Harlan, you know exactly what I mean when I say it is a town where everything is decided before you are old enough to decide anything yourself. Who your people are, where you worship, who you marry, what that marriage looks like. My father, Robert Bennett, worked at the county assessor's office for 26 years. Quiet man, methodical, the kind of father who showed love through showing up. Every school play, every soccer game, every breakfast on Saturday morning whether he felt like it or not. My mother, Patricia, ran the women's ministry at Harlan First Baptist Church. With the precision of a general and the certainty of a prophet, she organized the food pantry. She coordinated the prayer chain. She decided who sang at funerals and who read scripture at weddings. Nobody argued with Patricia Bennett. Not in Harlan, not ever. My brother Thomas was 3 years older. He became a civil engineer, married a woman named Ruth from a Baptist family in Lexington. My mother threw them a reception that people in Harlan still talk about. And then there was me, Clara, the one who asked too many questions in Sunday school, the one who read real estate listings for fun at 15 and calculated cap rates in her head during church sermons. I was not rebellious. I was precise. I saw the world in numbers, and the numbers told me that Harlan was not where my numbers led. I got a scholarship to the University of Kentucky. Finance major. Mom packed my bags. Dad slipped a card inside. His handwriting on the back, "We are proud of you, Clara. Come home often." I kept that card for 12 years. It sat in my desk drawer right next to the navy binder. It was the last kind thing he wrote me for a very long time. I met David Okafor in a real estate finance seminar fall semester of my junior year. He was in the row ahead of me. He had a yellow legal pad covered in notes in the smallest handwriting I had ever seen on a grown person. Every margin filled, color-coded. The kind of notes that belonged to someone who did not just want to pass the course. He wanted to own it. He was a finance major, too. Second-generation Nigerian-American. His father, Emmanuel, had come to Kentucky from Lagos in 1989 with a master's degree in electrical engineering and a conviction that America rewarded people who prepared. His mother, Adaze, was a pediatric nurse. She laughed the way some people sing, fully, immediately, like the sound had been waiting, and she was simply releasing it. David had his father's discipline and his mother's warmth. And this way of being still in a room full of noise that I had never seen before. Our first conversation was about depreciation schedules. I'm not making that up. He disagreed with the professor's method. He was right. I told him so. He looked at me like I was the first person who had said that out loud all semester. We studied together for 3 weeks before he asked me to dinner. He took me to a restaurant near campus that had cloth napkins and a wine list, and he ordered water because he was saving every dollar for a down payment on a duplex he planned to buy before he graduated. He told me that night, "I am going to build something real. Not a job, a portfolio. Something that compounds, something that grows while I sleep." I said, "I want to build it with you." He looked at me for a long moment. Then he said, "I was hoping you would say that." We dated for 2 years. He met my parents once. Dad shook his hand. Mom smiled the way People smile when they are deciding something. They have not yet said out loud. She called me the next day. He seems very smart. Her voice was careful, very polished. Is he a Christian, Clara? He grew up Catholic, Mom. A pause. That is not the same. I did not argue. I had learned early that certain conversations with my mother ended before they began. David proposed on a Sunday afternoon in April. No restaurant. No audience. Just us on the front steps of the duplex he had bought with 2 years of saved money and a conviction that turned out to be exactly right. He said, I want to build everything with you. The portfolio. The life. Everything. Will you? Yes. Before he finished the sentence. Yes. I called home that night. Mom picked up on the second ring. I told her. The line went quiet. 8 seconds. I counted. Clara. Her voice was low. You need to think about what you are doing to this family. Not congratulations. Not tell me about the ring. Not when is the wedding. What you are doing to this family. As if loving David was something I was doing to them. The letter came 10 days later. Not an email. Not a text. A letter. Cream-colored stationery. My mother's cursive. 4 paragraphs. The first 3 were scripture. Verses about being unequally yoked. About the importance of faith in a Christian home. About what God expects of a believing woman. The 4th paragraph was Patricia Bennett. She wrote, David is not of our faith. He was not raised in the Word. He does not share our values or our covenant with God. If you marry him, you are choosing the world over your family and over your Lord. We cannot support this marriage. We will not attend. And if you walk down that aisle, do not expect to walk back through our door. I read it 3 times. I want to be honest about something. My mother believed every word she wrote. That is the most important thing to understand about Patricia Bennett. She was not performing faith. She genuinely believed that she was protecting me, that God was on her side, that righteousness and cruelty were the same thing, if the cruelty was done in the right name. But here is what the letter did not say. It did not say, I am afraid of what people will think. It did not say, Thomas married a white Baptist girl and we would like the same. It did not say, David's skin and his name and the way he looks in our church frightens me. But those things were in the letter, between every scripture verse, underneath every word about faith. David was Catholic, but Thomas's college roommate was Catholic too, and my mother had loved him. The difference was not the faith. It knew it. My mother knew it. And in Harlan, everyone at First Baptist knew it. They just did not say it out loud, because saying it out loud made it something else. One folded the letter, put it in a manila envelope, labeled it, dated it. I did not know yet that it was item 1. I did not know yet about the binder. One just knew that a woman who files receipts does not throw away documentation. Not ever. We got married on a Saturday in May, Nashville courthouse. 14 guests, all David's, his parents, his sister Chioma, 3 college friends, our real estate finance professor, Dr. Morris, who had written David's recommendation letter and who cried the moment he saw us together. No one from Harlan, not one. Adaz, David's mother, flew in from Cincinnati the night before. She brought a dress she had made herself, ivory silk, hand-embroidered at the sleeves. She had stayed up until 2 a.m. finishing it the week before. She pinned it on me in the courthouse bathroom and held my face in both hands and said in Igbo, then in English so I would understand, you are ours now. You have always been ours. Welcome home. No father walked me down the aisle. There was no aisle. There was a hallway, fluorescent lights. A judge who mispronounced Okafor and apologized 3 times. The reception was at a Nigerian restaurant in East Nashville. Emmanuel gave a toast in English and Yoruba. Chioma danced in the middle of the floor until the restaurant asked us to leave. My dress was made by my mother-in-law. The flowers were sunflowers from a farmer's market. David wore his grandfather's watch. That night in our apartment, the one above the duplex David owned, I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at my hands. They were shaking, not from doubt, from grief. I had just gotten married and my parents did not care enough to come. I let myself feel that for exactly 4 minutes. Then I got up, walked to my desk, took out a card. Our wedding photo, David and me on the courthouse steps, both laughing, sunflowers in my hand. I wrote, we are happy. I hope you can be happy for us someday. I mailed it to Harlan. It came back 12 days later. Red stamp, returned to sender. I held that envelope for a long time. Then I opened the desk drawer. took out the manila folder, put the envelope inside, wrote on the outside in red pen, Item 2, wedding photo. Returned, dated. That was the day the folder became a system, and the system became a binder, and the binder became the most important document of my life. Year 1. I called home 4 times. Voicemail every time. I left messages, short. Careful. The kind where you choose every word because you know it might be the last one she ever listens to. Hi, Mom, just calling to say hello. David and I are doing well. He closed on 2 more properties last month. I passed my real estate license exam. We are building something. I miss you. Call me back when you are ready. She never called back. I sent a card for her birthday. A card for Dad's birthday. A card for Christmas. All 3 came back. Same red stamp. Same sealed envelopes. Dad sent 1 text. March, 4 words. Your mother needs time. I stared at those 4 words for 3 days. Then I printed them, filed them. Item 5, red pen, dated. Thomas called once. My brother, the one who had married, right? He said, Clara, Mom is really struggling. Can you just give her some space? I said, Thomas, I have given her my daughter. I have given her 8 years of nothing I did wrong. How much more space does she need? He did not answer. He was not cruel. He was careful. And careful men sometimes cause as much damage as cruel ones because they never say the thing that might cost them something. Meanwhile, David and I were building. Year 2. David quit his bank job. He had a plan, 6 months of saved money, a portfolio of 4 units, a market he had studied until he could read it the way other people read weather. He set up an office in the 2nd bedroom of our apartment. 2 monitors, a whiteboard, property management software he had taught himself over 6 months of weekends. I kept my job at the finance firm during the day. At night, I reviewed David's acquisition models. His numbers were right. They were always right, but I tightened them, found the inefficiencies, the hidden carrying costs, the tax exposures. I was a financial analyst by training, but I was becoming something else by choice, a real estate investor's most important partner. Year 3. We bought our first apartment building, 12 units, East Nashville. Needed work. We did most of it ourselves. David on weekends with a contractor, me managing the books at midnight. We also had Elijah. He arrived on a Wednesday in November. 8 pounds. His father's eyes. My grandmother's ears. Adai's flew in the next morning. She stayed 3 weeks. She cooked. She cleaned. She sang to Elijah at 3 a.m. in Igbo while I tried to sleep. She brought a blanket she had crocheted. She brought a silver bracelet engraved with his birthday. That was what a grandmother looked like. I had sent my mother the ultrasound photos 4 months before. Returned. I sent the birth announcement. Returned. I sent a photo. Elijah sleeping on David's chest, his tiny hand gripping David's finger. Returned. 3 items. Added to the binder. Items 9, 10, 11 red pen. Dated. My mother had never held her grandson. She had never seen his face, except in a photograph she returned in a sealed envelope. I filed it, the way I filed everything, not because I was planning something, because I was a woman who kept records and records do not lie. David had a philosophy he had inherited from his father. You do not buy what you can afford. You buy what you can improve. Every property we acquired was undervalued. Every acquisition was based on a thesis, what this building could become with the right capital and the right management. By year 4, we had 32 units. By year 5, 68. By year 6, 114. I had left my finance job and joined the company full-time. CFO and co-owner of Okafor Property Group, my name on every filing, my signature on every acquisition. The company was David's vision. The numbers were mine, equal, in everything. We moved into a 4-bedroom Craftsman in the 12. South neighborhood of Nashville, original hardwood, a garden that David planted on weekends, with the same methodical attention he gave to everything. Elijah had his own room with a window seat and a bookshelf that Addie's filled on her quarterly visits. Grammy Ada, that was what Elijah called her. Grammy Ada who brought groundnut soup every time she came. Grammy Ada who taught him the names of every bird in the backyard. Grammy Ada who was there for every birthday, every first day of school, every soccer game. That was what a grandmother was. Harlan was 2 states away, and further than that in every way that mattered. Year 5. The Nashville business. Journal ran a small piece on emerging real estate operators in the Mid-South market. One paragraph. David and Clara Okafor. Okafor Property Group. 100 units under management. Aggressive value-add strategy. It was not a big story. It was a paragraph in a trade publication. But someone in Harlan read it. My old college friend Becca texted me. "Hey, random, but your mom asked Reverend Mills about your husband's company after service Sunday. She wanted to know what value-add meant." I read that text 3 times. 8 years of silence. And now she wanted to know what value-add meant. The numbers were getting bigger. And Patricia Bennett was paying attention. The screenshots arrived on a Monday evening. My old friend from Harlan, Becca, called me at 7:15. She sounded rattled. "Clara, your brother's wife accidentally added me to a family group chat. I think she meant to add someone with a similar number. I was in it for 4 days before they noticed. I took screenshots. I am sending them now. 6 screenshots. I read them sitting in Elijah's room after he fell asleep, his nightlight casting a warm orange circle on the ceiling. Thomas. Okafor Property Group filed a portfolio refinancing last quarter. Estimated portfolio value based on the filing, 18 to 22 million. Patricia. How do we approach her? She will not respond to emotion. You know how she is. Thomas. Maybe I should call first. Feel her out. Patricia. No, I need to go in person. With a document. Something organized. Ruth, Thomas's wife. Make a list. Be specific. She is a finance person. Numbers will land better than feelings. Patricia. How much should I ask for? Ruth. Start with the house. Mortgage payoff first. Then retirement. Then Thomas's business loan. Layer it. Make it look like a family investment conversation. Not a request. Robert, my father. This does not feel right. Patricia. Robert. She has more money than this town has ever seen. She is our daughter. We are entitled to help. Robert did not reply after that. I sat in Elijah's room for a long time. His breathing slow and steady. Adaze had left a book on his nightstand. Good Night Moon. She read it to him every visit. Entitled to help. 8 years of returned birthday cards. 8 years of ignored grandchildren. 8 years of a daughter erased from the family Bible. And now, entitled to help. I went to my office, printed the screenshots, opened the binder. Item 26, family group chat. Financial reconnaissance. Strategy confirmed. Red pen, dated. I closed the binder, sat at my desk, looked at the framed photo next to my monitor. David and me and Elijah at Percy Priest Lake. All 3 of us, squinting into the summer sun. David with Elijah on his shoulders, me beside them. All of us laughing at something I cannot remember. That was my answer. Right there in the frame. I showed David the screenshots that night. He read them once, line by line, the way he read a contractor's bid, looking for the number that did not add up. He set the phone down. What do you want to do? I want to be ready. He nodded. That was David. He did not tell me what to feel. He stood next to me while I figured it out. The next morning I called our attorney. A woman named Grace Oyalaran, real estate and family law. No nonsense. The kind of attorney who finished your sentences not because she was interrupting, but because she had already been 3 steps ahead. I told her everything. The binder, the screenshots, the 8 years. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Clara, your assets are protected. Your trusts are airtight. Your son's inheritance is untouchable. What you are describing is not a legal problem. It is a personal one. And for that, you just need to decide what you are willing to say. She was right. This was not about lawyers. This was about a woman who was coming to my door because the numbers had changed, and whether I was going to let her rewrite 8 years of silence into a story about a misunderstanding. I went back to my office, opened the binder, read it from the beginning. All 26 items, every returned card, every ignored voicemail, every screenshot, every piece of proof that my family had decided I no longer existed. Not because I did something wrong, but because I loved someone they refused to accept. I closed the binder, put it back in the drawer. I was ready. Thomas called 2 weeks before my mother arrived. He had never called me. Not once, in 8 years. Hey, Clara, as if we had spoken last week. As if 8 years of silence was a weather pattern that had simply cleared. Hey, Thomas. He went through pleasantries for 4 minutes. How is Nashville? How is Elijah? How is the business? I answered everything, briefly, politely, the way you answer a stranger on an airplane. Then, look, Clara, Mom has been going through a hard time. Dad's health, the house. You know how it is. Family is family. And I know things have been complicated. But I think it would mean a lot if you could maybe find it in your heart to help. Complicated. I let the word sit. Thomas. When was the last time you said my son's name out loud? What? Elijah. His name is Elijah. He is 7 years old. He has your father's chin. He loves soccer and hates broccoli, and he is reading chapter books. When was the last time you said his name? Thomas was quiet. Clara, that is not fair. No, I said, it is not. None of this has been fair. But you are calling me because you read a filing and you want something. So let's be honest about what this call is. He did not argue. That was the thing about Thomas. He was never dishonest. He was just never brave enough to be fully honest either. I am sorry, Clara. He said it quietly. I should have called sooner. I should have called a long time ago. Yes, I said. You should have. We hung up. I did not add the call to the binder. It was not documentation. It was just my brother arriving, 8 years late to a conversation that deserved to happen on his sister's wedding day. Some things are too sad for the binder. I put those things somewhere else. Somewhere quieter, where I let them just be what they are. I need to tell you about item 23, year 6. I had sent a birthday card, the way I always did. 6 straight years? 6 returned. But this time I tucked something inside. A photo of Elijah. His 5th birthday. Paper hut. Chocolate cake. Missing his 2 front teeth. Grinning so wide you could count every freckle. On the back of the photo I wrote, he asks about you sometimes. I tell him you live far away. I hope someday he gets to meet you. I sealed the envelope, mailed it. Expected the red stamp. It came back in 10 days. Red stamp. Returned to sender. But something was different. The envelope had been opened. The flap was creased. The glue had been cut and resealed with a strip of clear tape, careful, deliberate, as if someone had tried to make it look untouched. I held it up to the light in my kitchen. The card was inside. The photo was inside, but someone had taken them out, had held them, had looked at Elijah's face, had looked at my handwriting on the back of the photo. He asks about you sometimes, and then someone had put it all back, and sealed it, and sent it back. I sat at the kitchen table with that envelope for a long time. Dad had opened it. I was almost certain. He had looked at his grandson's face. He had read my words. He had wanted to keep it, and Mom had made him put it back. He wanted in. She would not let him. I labeled it with a steadier hand than I expected. Item 23, birthday card, year 6. Opened and resealed. Photo viewed, still returned. I put the binder back in the bottom drawer. Closed it. Sat at my desk and listened to Elijah singing in the bath. Some song from school I did not recognize, his voice completely unself-conscious. The way only children sing when they do not know anyone is listening. He did not know his grandfather had held his photo in a house in Harlan and been told to put it back. He would not know for a very long time. And when he did, I would have the receipts. Everyone, dated, documented, the truth in his grandmother's own handwriting on cream-colored stationery. She arrived on a Tuesday at 10:22 in the morning. I know the exact time because I was at my desk reviewing a contractor's bid when the doorbell rang. Looked at the security camera, a taxi at the curb, a woman in a gray wool coat standing on my front path, looking at the house, the way an appraiser looks, taking inventory. I went downstairs, opened the door. We stood 3 feet apart. She looked older, more gray in her hair, lines around her mouth that had not been there 8 years ago. Her eyes, the same shade of brown as mine, were already calculating. Clara, Mom. A silence. 5 seconds. I think it is time we talked about the family. Not, I missed you. Not, I was wrong. Not, I am sorry. I think it is time we talked about the family. Come in. I did not take her to the living room. I took her to the kitchen. The kitchen had a table. Good light. The fridge covered in Elijah's artwork and a Daisy's photo and a world map where Elijah marked every country he wanted to visit someday. The kitchen was where truth lived in this house. She sat. I poured 2 glasses of water, no coffee. Coffee was for people who were staying. She looked around. Her eyes found a Daisy's photo. Grammy Ada holding Elijah at his last birthday, both of them laughing. She stared at it for 4 seconds. Something crossed her face. I could not tell if it was guilt or jealousy. Then she opened the portfolio. set the paper on the table. 5 bullet points, blue ink, her handwriting. She read them aloud. Mortgage payoff, the family home, $285,000. I said nothing. Retirement supplement, your father and I, $400,000. Nothing. Thomas's business loan, $120,000 is nothing. Dad's medical, heart procedure, $70,000, nothing. Monthly support, $3,000. She folded the paper, placed it on the table between us, looked at me. This is what families do, Clara. We support each other. Your father worked his whole life. We sacrificed. You have been blessed. It is right to share that blessing. I stared at the list. $925,000, itemized, calculated, presented like an invoice. Not once during the reading did she say my son's name. Not once did she acknowledge that she was sitting in a house she had never visited, asking for money from a grandson she had never held. I picked up the list. Read each line one more time. Folded it, set it down. Then I stood up. Walked to my office. The bottom drawer. Under the tax folders, behind the insurance documents. The navy binder. Heavy. The kind of weight that comes from 8 years of documentation. I carried it to the kitchen. Set it on the table right next to the folded demand list. 2 documents. Hers, 1 page. 5 bullets. $925,000. Mine, 31 items. 8 years. 0 apologies received. She looked at the binder. What is that? I sat down, placed my hands flat on the table. You brought a list, Mom. I brought one too. I opened to tab 1, year 1, and I started reading. I did not raise my voice. I did not cry. I did not perform. I read the way I read acquisition reports to the board. Factual. Organized. Item by item. Item 1. Your letter. Cream-colored stationery. Dated April 14th. He is not of our faith. Do not expect to walk back through our door. I placed the letter on the table. My mother's cursive. Her scripture. Her ultimatum. Item 2. Wedding photo. Mailed June 3rd. Returned June 15th. Unopened. The envelope. Red stamp. Still sealed. Item 3. Christmas card. Year 1. Returned. I laid them out one by one. The way you present evidence in an audit. No commentary. No emotion. Just documents arranged in chronological order. My mother's mouth opened, closed. She stared at the row of envelopes. White rectangles. Red stamps. 8 years of doors I had tried to open and she had slammed shut. These are the cards I sent you. Every year. Every single one came back. Clara, I am not finished. I moved to tab 3. I pulled out the opened envelope, the one with the clear tape on the flap. I held it up. Item 23, birthday card. Year 6. Inside was a photo of Elijah, his 5th birthday. This envelope was opened. Someone looked at his face, looked at this photo, and then sealed it back up and sent it back. My mother's jaw tightened. Who opened it, Mom? Nothing. Dad opened it. He wanted to keep it, and you made him send it back. She pressed her fingers to her lips. Her eyes were wet. I moved to the last tab. The screenshots. Item 26, family group chat, October. Read Ruth's message. Make a list. Be specific. She is a finance person. Numbers will land better than feelings. Than yours. She has more money than this town has ever seen. She is our daughter. We are entitled to help. My mother's face changed. The tears dried. Something harder surfaced. You had no right to read that. I looked at her, level, steady. You had no right to return my son's photos. The kitchen went silent. I reached for the opened envelope. Set it on the table. You told Harlan First Baptist that David was not of our faith. But Thomas's roommate was Catholic, and you loved him. The difference was not the faith, Mom. We both know what the difference was. She had no answer. I watched her search for one. Scan through every response she had prepared. Every piece of moral authority. Every scripture verse. Everything she had used to make the silence feel righteous. None of it fit anymore. The woman who had enforced that silence was sitting in its consequence. In a kitchen in a house she had never visited. Looking at a binder she had spent 8 years creating without knowing it. I spoke quietly. The way you deliver a final number on a balance sheet. Factual, complete. No revision pending. Mom, I will not give you money. She opened her mouth. Not because I cannot afford it. Because the moment I write a check, you will tell yourself that this is what family does. That the silence was just a season. That 8 years of returned cards was a rough patch that resolved itself. I picked up her list, held it out. It was not a rough patch. It was a choice. Your choice. Documented, dated, every item accounted for. She did not take the list. If you want to know your grandson, really know him, not as a line item in a financial plan. That starts with an apology, a real one, not to me, to him, and it does not start today. It starts when you are ready to mean it. She stood, picked up her portfolio, walked toward the door. She stopped, turned. I am his grandmother. Yes, I said. You are, so is a daze. The difference is, she showed up. The door clicked shut. Not a slam, a click. The sound of someone leaving who understood. She had lost something she could not purchase back. The garage door opened 20 minutes after she left. David came through the kitchen door, keys in one hand, hard hat in the other. He had been at a property inspection all morning. He saw the binder on the table. He saw the demand list beside it. He saw my face. He set the hard hat on the counter, put his keys down, walked to where I was sitting, put his hand on my shoulder, sat down next to me. That was it. No speech. No dramatic declaration. Just a man sitting next to his wife because she needed him there. I looked at his hand on my shoulder. This man, not of our faith, not one of us. The man my mother had called an unequal yoke. He was wearing a flannel shirt and work boots and a watch his father had given him when he graduated college. There was nothing flashy about him, nothing that announced a $20 million portfolio. He was just a man, a good man, a father, a builder, my partner in everything. My mother had looked at him 8 years ago and seen something she was unwilling to accept. I had looked at him and seen my future. I had been right. We sat in the kitchen for a long time, neither of us speaking, the afternoon light shifting across the floor. Elijah's artwork on the fridge, a Daisy's photo, the world map. I did not need the Bennett family. I had already built my own. Dad called on a Thursday morning, 9 days after she left, not on a weekend, not at a convenient time. A Thursday morning at 8:47 while I was reviewing a lease renewal. His voice was thinner than I remembered, older. The cadence the same, slow, careful, measured, but something underneath had cracked. Clara. Dad. I saw the house on the news. They did a piece on Nashville real estate. Your company was mentioned. I saw David's name. I saw yours. I waited. I opened the card, the birthday card. From last year. I opened it. I should not have sent it back. I looked at Elijah's picture for a long time. His voice cracked. I looked at what I had let happen for 8 years, and I am ashamed of it. Not because of the business, not because of the money, because that little boy in the photo asked about me. That is what you wrote. He asks about you sometimes, and I sent it back. Clara, I sent it back. He was crying, quietly. The way men cry when they have been holding something too long. I sat with that. He called after the news segment. Not after the wedding, not after the twins were born, after the news segment, but he also said, the little boy in the photo asked about me. Not the $20 million portfolio. The little boy. I believe you, Dad. I said it slowly. But believing you and trusting you are different things. We start slow. Phone calls. No visits yet, no money. Just talking. That is more than I deserve. It is exactly what you deserve. Not more, not less. We hung up. I went back to the lease renewal. The numbers were waiting. Numbers always waited. They did not get tired. They did not get hurt. They just sat there being exactly what they were. I found that very comforting. It has been 3 weeks since my mother knocked on my door. She has not called. She has not written. The silence returned. But this time it is hers. She chose it, again. The binder is in the bottom drawer. 31 items. 8 years. I did not add a 32nd. I hope I never have to. Thomas texted once. One sentence. You could have helped. I did not reply. Some messages are their own answer. Dad calls every other week. We talk for 20 minutes. He asks about Elijah. He says his name. Every time, Elijah, like he is practicing. Like he is making up for lost time 1 syllable at a time. Last week Elijah asked me, Mom, is Grandpa Robert coming to visit? I said, maybe someday. He lives far away, but he knows your name. Elijah thought about this. Then he went back to his Lego. Children accept what they are given and build with the rest. I want to tell you what 8 years of silence taught me. The people who decide you are not enough will always find a reason. If it is not faith, it will be culture. If it is not culture, it will be class. If it is not class, it will be something else. Because the reason was never really about any of those things. The reason was fear. Fear of difference. Fear of change. Fear of a world that did not look like the one they had decided was the only acceptable one. And here is what fear does when the numbers change. It repackages itself as love. It shows up at Vordor in a wool coat with an itemized list and calls it family. It is not family. Family is the people who show up when your garage is cold and your apartment is small and your wedding has 14 guests and grocery store flowers. Family is the people who fly from Cincinnati to pin a dress on you in a courthouse bathroom and hold your face and say, "You have always been ours." That is family. And I had it. I had it the whole time. The navy binder is still in the drawer. I did not build it for a confrontation. I built it for my son, so that when he is old enough to ask, "Why don't I have a grandmother on your side?" Mom, I will not give him my version or her version. I will give him the receipts. Every returned card, every ignored voicemail, every photo she looked at and sent back. The truth, in her own handwriting, on cream-colored stationery, dated, labeled, filed. Because the truth does not negotiate. It does not argue. It does not forgive or condemn. It just tells the story, exactly as it happened, to the people who deserve to know it. David is downstairs making Sunday pancakes. I can hear Elijah arguing about whether dinosaurs could have survived in Kentucky. David is saying yes, probably, with the right adaptation. That is my family, right there in the kitchen, arguing about dinosaurs on a Sunday morning. And they are enough. They have always been enough. If someone showed up in your life only after the numbers changed, I need to hear your story. Drop it in the comments. And if this reminded you that your worth was never a dollar amount, share it with someone who needs to hear that today. 8 years, 31 items, 1 navy binder, and a family I built myself.